Okay, the time is 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll begin with the pledge of allegiance. Please join me for that.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That we'll go ahead and get right into our public comment period. If you have a public comment, please state your name, where you live for the record. Limit your speaking to 3 minutes per person. Is there any public comment in the room? None in the room. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Okay, we'll go ahead and get right into our agenda then, beginning with administrative items. First thing, approving the minutes from our February 5th meeting. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to, actually, that's a special meeting. We can go ahead and do that. We gotta do it too. The special meeting minutes from February 5th, 2025. Have the commissioners had a chance to review those?
Yes.
We're good. Do we have a motion to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pass the February 5th special meeting minutes as written.
Second?
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we'll go ahead and do the same for last month's minutes. I don't have a copy of those in front of me, but I did go over them.
You want a copy?
No, I don't need it. Well, that's why I skipped it, because I didn't see it. Anyway, have the commissioners gone over the minutes from our regular meeting for January?
Yes, sir.
And do we have a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting on, I don't remember the date, February, January. Some time ago.
Yeah.
I second that motion for January 8th. Regular meeting minutes.
Those in favor of approving January 8th minutes, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, got the minutes out of the way.
There's minutes for you to sign.
Get mine out of the way.
Okay. Monthly budget report and vouchers.
Okay, we can start with the January. We have both January and 2024 year end.
Right.
Start with January. Really not much unusual this month. Let's see, we did have our annual HVAC and boiler servicing at, because we have a maintenance contract with Apollo Heating and Air Conditioning.
Okay.
And then fire extinguishers. The only weird one is the Telet Media, the $2,000. That was clear back from Fall Family Festival. They just didn't send us an invoice in a timely fashion,
Right.
so. But I just don't see anything else on here that would be confusing. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Later.
Okay, and then for the year end, had the bookkeeper go through it with a fine tooth comb and make sure it matched up to the county financial or the county reports that we get every month. And so we, the bottom line for last year was that we spent $111,598.51 less than we took in, which is always good.
Mhm.
And we, at the end of the year balance, if you add those two numbers at the bottom under December, temporary investment reserve and cash balance, you add those together and it's 506,273.46 is what we ended the year with. And I had estimated 500,000. I have to say I think that's the closest I've ever come to, because I have to estimate in October
Yeah.
what I think the year end is going to be. So I like that one. I was happy with that, getting so close. So it's, we ended up in a really good position.
Good.
Happy to answer questions if you have any. Oh, here's your voucher form to sign.
Hey, leases, do we have any leases?
No, none this month. No, we've had a couple months in a row without leases.
Here's this.
Thank you.
Paper shuffle.
Yep, that's what we do.
Okay, next thing on our list is the master agreement with the city of Dayton.
Yes, so this document has been being worked on for a really long time. It is a document that started that so Columbia Rail, we leased them the right of way. They in turn contract with a company in Florida called Rams Inc. to manage the leases on the right of way on their behalf. So this was a Rams Inc. document to start with. This document is meant to be the instrument that governs all city utilities in the right of way,
Okay.
existing and whatever will be new. There's a one-time fee to the city for entering into this agreement of $1,250. If you look on the very last page, Exhibit C, that is fee schedules. Those are for new installations of
Okay,
utilities.
right.
And the reason for those fees is because if you are going to construct something in the railroad right of way, they have to make sure it's okay, that if you're going under it, that you go under far enough and you meet the requirements of the rail operator and the FRA.
Right.
So that's what that fee list is about. I did have one thing question for Kim that I did not cross my mind until yesterday, is that we're not a signer on this document in any spot. Don't you think we probably be, should we be, like there's been some that I've signed in the past, like with the Lions Ferry lease where that the port is acknowledging the document or some sort of a.
So my recollection is that your lease with CWW said that they will manage the right of way.
Yes. Yeah,
So, that's what it means.
so there's just no reason for us to have our name on it
No.
anywhere.
If it were the actual easement being drafted, that would be recorded with the auditor's office that encumbers the land, yes, you should be signed.
Okay.
But, I understand your question, and maybe that's a point of change. But that's why you're not signing it, is because it's actually being negotiated, or your lessee, I believe, has that role.
Yes. I'm gonna look at our policy and just make sure that we're something of this magnitude, that we wouldn't be the ones who did the,
Well, you have
Final
been
approval.
doing the
yeah,
Negotiating.
yeah. We have just, the agricultural leases, we
Right,
just leave that in their hands. I was thinking for some reason that licenses were different. And I don't know why it didn't dawn on me until this point, so. I thought, Ryan was gonna come tonight. The other thing I would mention is, do we feel confident in ability of this document to hold up for the rail line to be sold? For the city, for the sake of the city, that they would have confidence that the agreement would not be changed in any way. Because that's a new thing. When we started working on this, that was not something we talked about.
I guess I don't know that I can give any kind of guarantee. That is a document designed to put into a contract, the expectations of the parties for the use of the right of way. So it's not the actual right to be in the right of way. The actual right to be in that should be in a document that's an easement or a license that gets recorded with the auditor's office. So the city should have, in addition to that, a legal description of how they're impacting right of way.
Okay,
And that's a document that is permanent
okay.
once.
Okay, this does say the rights and obligations of the parties shall be for the benefit of and be binding upon their respective successors, heirs, and assigns.
So that's typical language in a contract.
Okay,
Yeah, that just means that if the people who signed it or if those entities change, that it is enforceable, so, but that's not the same as the right to be in the ground.
okay. Okay,
So if I can understand the question being posed by the city of, will this be enough to keep us where we need to be?
yeah, okay. But for the purposes of this license agreement, we have the only changes that are still yet to be. We were just answering a couple of more questions from the city attorney. They were insignificant. So I didn't want to hold,
There was
yeah,
a notice, yeah.
yeah, I just didn't want to hold it up. You know, Ryan's been really anxious to get it going. So, and we're not signers, but I certainly wanted you all to approve of it before, yeah. So I put action on here, but I don't know if we're really taking an action or just maybe acknowledging that,
Yeah, I was wondering, do we need?
You're okay
do
with
we
the
need a motion
document?
To approve this since we're not signers, so.
You're not managers of your right of way, though
Yeah.
you are acting.
yeah. Well, I just, for the city's sake, wouldn't it be nice if there was some sort of acknowledgement in our minutes?
Mhm.
I think it would be.
I would make a motion that we acknowledge that the agreement is acceptable to the park.
So we have a motion on the table that the master agreement between the city and the railroad is acceptable to the port. Is anything else we need to talk about this?
I'll second that, with discussion.
We have a motion and second, further discussion.
So is this final yet? Is this the final, or you said you had a couple questions?
Yep, there was just one question left on the timing of notices, which would be number 8. It says licensee shall give notice to the railroad not less than 72 hours, excluding Saturdays and Sundays, blah, blah, blah. And then later in the document, it says 5 days. And the way I view it is that they're talking about 2 different noticings. One of them is for the act of doing construction work in the right of way, and the other is, if I can find it, do you remember what it was I
It's
told you?
inspecting.
Inspecting. So I viewed it as 2 different actions. The city attorney thought they were conflicting timeframes for the same action. So that's what we need to clarify. That's the only thing left, right?
Ultimately, it's not a decision you or I are actually that.
Yeah, it's CWW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah, that was a good question. Yeah. So, and I had answered I think we answered the city attorney, but I just don't remember.
I think you answered me.
Oh, okay.
Cause I just made a note to myself.
Okay. Okay. Okay,
For the record, we have a motion and a second, that the port acknowledges the master agreement between the city and the railroad, and that is acceptable in our view, so I guess we'll go and vote on that. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, that motion passes.
great. Thank you so much.
So then we have resolution number 2025-2025-02, which is a resolution of the Port of Columbia Board of Commissioners authorizing the submission of a grant to the USDA Rural Business Development Program for the improvements to Blue Mountain Station Building 2.
Okay, so this, I have been, a grant opportunity has come to our attention with through the Rural Business Development Program. That would help make improvement. So let me take a step back. We've been working with this pasta business that we're trying to bring to Dayton. Cedar Rain, who is in building number 2, has told us that they would like to be let out of their lease early if possible. And I think their lease is up in October. So we traditionally only do that if we have a new tenant.
Right.
So we've talked to Cedar Rain about the pasta company and the idea of bringing them there, and they're all in favor of it. So if you recall, the west end of the building doesn't have HVAC,
Right.
and we budgeted for that.
Mhm.
So, what we would like to do is apply for funds to put in the HVAC, refrigeration, food grade wall covering, and 3-compartment sink and hand washing stations. In the East Bay has most of those things. The only thing it's missing is the hand washing station and the FRP on the bottom part.
Right.
The bigger portion, needs more finishing.
Mhm.
And so we were looking through the grant, and I just noticed yesterday that said you had to have a resolution from the governing body,
Right.
and it's due February 28th. So that is why I wrote a resolution really fast yesterday and sent it to you late. So apologies for that. But this would allow us to apply for, we would apply for 100,000, well, we'd apply for $50,000 and match it with $50,000. Because we budgeted for design for an engineering, which we've already started discussion with an architect. And then we budgeted for the HVAC. So that would give us some match money and gives us better points on the grant.
Right.
So basically applying for $50,000.
Okay.
So that counts towards the match money? Well,
Yeah, the design work that we would do and the HVAC money that we have budgeted would count as cash match.
Okay,
And they love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gives you higher points on the application. The more match you have, the better the application. And it's, they said awards are usually around 50,000, so we're just kind of trying to fit within the parameters. It would be helpful.
but we wouldn't have to
Definitely.
put a budget an extra 50,000 because we've already.
Nope, we've already budgeted it, yeah.
Okay.
We already budgeted
Makes
it, yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm definitely in favor of improving that building and being able to get another. tenant
Yes,
there.
I hope they'll come. It's pretty exciting,
Yeah,
so.
it is exciting.
Yeah. It would be, they have 3 employees now and they would have 10 if they expanded here total.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And they would do regular pasta on the west end and gluten-free pasta in the smaller bay,
Mhm.
because gluten-free pasta is a big demand market.
It is.
Yeah, and we met with, some Joseph's Granary out of Colfax today, and we've met with Moon Family Farms and several regional growers about what they're milling, what kind of, because it's different grain for pasta, and
Mhm.
then also gluten-free, it would probably be milling legumes,
Right.
something different, like
Yeah.
garbanzo beans or lentils or some other flour to make
Right.
that. So, yeah, it's exciting.
It is exciting. That'd be really, really excellent if we could accommodate this and get that off the ground. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-02.
I'll second that motion.
So we have a resolution or a motion to approve resolution number 2025-02. A motion second for that. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
2025-02 passes. Okay, let's go to update on port assets, starting with Rock Hill Industrial Park.
Let's see, we've had snow plowing happening in Rock Hill Industrial Park. We sent an email to all the tenants reminding them to keep their heat up, and we haven't heard of any frozen pipes yet, but it's still so cold, we might not know yet. So hopefully we'll get by okay without it. Is there anything else you can think of, Tracy, that, yeah, so that's all we have to report there. Everybody else is doing business and doing okay.
Excellent. How about Lions Ferry Marina?
Nothing to report at the marina. They got very excited about some old docks there's a marina in the Tri-Cities that's closing. And they were over the moon excited about, could we get those old docks and bring them to Lions Ferry, but we can't because they don't fit the 60% light pass-through requirement because they're old docks,
Oh.
so. Yeah, I had to burst his bubble.
Mhm.
And they did participate, the RCO is doing a study on the recreation effects if the Snake River dams were breached. And, Tim and their manager participated in the focus group. That was really good. They also had Boyer Park, which is kind of like our sister park. It's very similar.
Right.
It's run by they're a KOA, run by a concessionaire. So it's very nice that they participated in that. They've got all the good information about, you know, who's visiting their facility and what people are using the river for. Fishing is really bigger than everything else,
Mhm.
is fishing.
Yeah.
Even more than water skiing and pleasure boating and they are talking about getting, we have 2 fuel tanks out there. Only one is being used for gasoline and they would really like to have diesel on site because there are some big boats that go by on the river that need diesel, but we don't have any. And Tim has he used to work for Pelican Fuel in Tri-Cities, so he's kind of got an in with a fuel company. He's planning to replace the gas pumps out there too
Mhm.
and make them more, pay with a credit card
Okay,
so that you don't have to come in the store
right,
to pay. So that would be really good too.
very cool.
So they've got all kinds of ideas and plans. Seem to be doing well.
Excellent. So what about Blue Mountain Station?
So I have completed the contract, we got the curb contract, it's done. And I completed contracts with Urban Patterns and Anderson Perry, and our first kickoff meeting for starting design is tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
So we finally get to get started on the malt house,
Excellent.
finally, yeah. And we can just talk about grain cluster, I'll just let the staff talk about it, under staff reports, if that's okay.
Okay. And CWW Railroad?
Okay, I have a clarification. Kim and I didn't hear, I don't think heard things quite exactly the same. So I've gone through and listened to the recording and wrote out the list of things that I heard at the last meeting, that questions you would like answered.
Mhm.
My recollection was that Kim and I would compare notes and we would bring that list to the March meeting, you would approve it, and then we would start doing our research. And that the answers we found from those questions would go on a 1 or 2 page document. She understood it a little differently, so she thought maybe there were 2 different things.
So what I understood was that the list of information and questions to be pursued would be compiled into a report so that it could be reviewed by both the commissioners and the public. And then once the commissioners made a decision, I thought that was the 1 to 2 page document that basically explained your thought process, but maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, my thought was to, rather than a big lengthy report, a lot of people, if we use it in a manner of education, or here's the facts,
Mhm.
right, a fact sheet.
Mhm.
They're not gonna read a huge report, so my vision was to be able to say, all right, here's some questions. Here's the facts of that, here's the point of views from that, pros and cons, whatever it may be. On a 1 or 2, 3 page, whatever, bulleted out type, nice, easy, like a fact sheet,
Right.
that's
I
all I
was-
was looking for.
I was trying to be really thoughtful about how the questions, the information that was being presented to the commissioners would be in a very objective manner. And I feel like a fact sheet, it's hard, like, I think a summary sheet makes good sense. But the more we summarize, the more the information can be less and less objective, but rather objective driven, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that the information was given really as a whole, so that as you processed it, the commissioners could focus it.
Yes.
That's, I guess, where I was going with it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense to have it summarized.
Exactly.
Because you're right, it doesn't need to be, or it's hard to have an expectation of everyone reading 50 pages of discovery information,
Right.
right? But I think you commissioners still need access to that discovery information, as well as the public, if they want to see all of the basis.
Agree.
Yeah, if they wanna dive deeper, like, hey,
Yeah,
what's this
yeah,
about? What's
yeah.
more information? Oh, then we can have some conversation like that, so.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the,
just a summary.
the list of questions we'll make sure that everybody's on board with what we've got, then we'll do the research, that'll be kind of the report, but the summary will be a summary of that information that was gathered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then the 1 page or 2 pager might be a little more focused or whatever, but
Okay.
the summary, I think we can summarize the information in the report in a way that helps focus review or make it easier to, get through quickly,
Mhm.
but that the information is all presented so that you can see it.
Yes, that's the intent,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, I thought,
Sounds good.
and
So we will have the list of, I've sent her my list.
you sent
She-
me, yeah, and I've
she
been
can-
working, I was
yeah.
working on it, that's why.
But so we'll
Got here late.
present it to you at the March meeting, so we're all clear on what you want us to research.
Right.
Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
That'd be great, thank you.
That's all I have, I think. Oh, well, I guess I should say the materials for the rail operator is in implementing the grant for the crossings and the other tie improvements here. It has to be spent by June or it's gone, so.
Right.
And so you might see piles of ties and
Yeah.
other equipment around, so
Excellent.
I know, it's exciting.
It is.
Very exciting. There's quite a few crossings in town that will be part of the project
Yeah.
too. Some that have needed repair for quite some time.
Yeah, there were some duties.
Yeah.
Motorcycle crops.
Yeah.
Anything happening with broadband?
No, we turned in the BEAD application and now we wait and see what they think. So nothing to report there.
Okay,
Our numbers of customers that, you know, on the list from our ISPs is staying about the same. Maybe going up a few, so I do see Spectrum out there installing houses, but hasn't seemed to affect us too much yet.
good. Good. Wonder how that would turn out with them
Yeah,
coming in and,
we'll see.
yeah.
They are offering very low rates, so.
So community and economic development, starting with staff reports.
So, for anyone that does not know, our lovely Jill has given notice. And she will be working for the city of Renton starting next week. So we will miss her very much. And in her place, we've hired Shane Live to be the economic development coordinator for the Port of Columbia. And so Shane and Jill got to work together for a few days this week, which was very nice for me, so that a lot of the training is already done. And well, I'm gonna let them both, I guess, I don't know, let Jill report. I don't know if Shane's ready to report yet. But I'll give my staff report first and then I'll let them finish up on what they've been working on.
Okay.
So, I have been, we had a regional ADO meeting a couple of weeks ago. I sent that to you in your mid-month report, and that's already kind of paying off. We had the ADO bill, there's an ADO bill going through the legislature to, preserve funding, hopefully raise the amount that the smaller ADOs get. And, hopefully that'll cut funding. And so I testified in the House for the bill in the House a couple weeks ago, and tomorrow I'm gonna testify for the bill in the Senate. But they needed some co-sponsors, and so I had asked Senator Schessler if he would consider co-sponsoring. And I emailed the rest of the ADOs in this area and asked them to contact him too, and he did. He signed up as a co-sponsor, so that was really great how it worked to be communicating amongst us all. So that was really nice. We did, I'll let Jill talk more about it, but we did apply for and get awarded a grant from the Washington State Micro Enterprise Association. So I just signed that contract today. It's just for $20,000, and I'll let Jill and Shane talk about what we're gonna do with it. The Innovia, I saw a school Innovia grant come across my desk and contacted Jeremy at the school. And he applied for $50,000 and was awarded that money for a heavy equipment simulator. So he and I talked about it, what we thought might be a good workforce development tool. And so this simulator can teach high school, I think they're aiming for high school, kids how to operate a forklift and backhoe, several other pieces of large equipment. And I connected him with Seneca, and Seneca is very happy to let the kids come down and do actual forklift driving. I don't know if Chris knows what he's doing, but yeah, have them come down and after they've had the training, they can come down and operate forklifts and get a certification.
Cool.
Wow.
So, yeah, I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of a workforce training that might have a lot of impact in this area, yeah. I went to the Visit Walla Walla annual meeting last week, that was well attended, very interesting numbers they have, their biggest number of visitors come from Spokane or Seattle, depending on the season. And I was really surprised to hear that Spokane was one of their top two. I had no idea. Spokane feel like is an untapped market for our corner of the state. Had a regional, meeting with the regional ports with the RTPO. And then I mentioned the regional ADO meeting. So I think that's good enough for me, and I will let Jill and or Shane give their report.
Okay.
Okay, well, I didn't prepare too much, but,
Sorry, did you not think you were prepared for reporting? Did I blindside you? Oh, sorry. Are you
Okay.
reporting?
Well, I didn't have
Who's
enough to
reporting?
prepare.
Okay.
I guess I can talk about some things. So, as Jenny mentioned, we are applying for, the USDA Rural Business Development Grant Funds to help bring the pasta business here. I've been working, on gathering some letters of support, and thankfully, just the network of grain cluster that relationships that we've built here is paying off, and so people were instantly like, absolutely, which is great. Had a farm out of Tri-City sign a letter of support and some other people. And then just been working with the pasta business to get some of their equipment specs. So that way we can make sure the building is retrofitted in the right way for their equipment. Yes, that WSMA grant is basically all around, workshops, and so, a big chunk is to bring, his name is John Shallert, and he does a business destination boot camp. Jenny got to go to his boot camp, I don't know when that was.
20 years ago.
Yeah, in
In
Walla
Walla Walla.
Walla. And she mentioned it at her Visit Walla Walla meeting, this guy just really comes in and absolutely just revives all these businesses. It's just revolutionary, and the impact that she has heard from other communities that have gone through his program has just been super impactful for the businesses. So that's really exciting. That's gonna be, really huge at the Liberty Theater. We're gonna get people from all over this area, not even just Columbia County, but our whole valley to come, because this is a really big deal. He's coming from Colorado.
And he's really expensive. So that's
Yeah,
why we
he's
got a grant.
Yes, he's a big chunk of that. And then along with that is just sort of supporting our, the workshops and the other things that we do here to really make them the best that we could, kind of hire a couple other consultants who are experts in the field that they teach on. Yeah, I think that's,
Do you want to talk about the golf?
Sure.
And
yeah,
travel
the
show?
golf, and then
Okay.
you can maybe talk about our meeting today if you want,
Yeah.
or whatever.
So I'll start there. Today we met with, Joseph's Grains out of Colfax. Just to solidify relationship with that grain cluster model. So, I'm looking forward to working on that project and trying to see how many businesses we can tie, to the malt house and make that whole thing work. One of the things that, I grew up here. I'm from here. My family is one of the oldest, pioneer families here. So, helping to change a mindset of the commodities, grains, I think is gonna be a good challenge for us. To try to get some of those farmers to switch a little bit and bring some of their grains here. So, I think it's doable. It's just gonna take, the if you build it, they will come model. So, I'm excited about that. The golf show. So we, are working with, members of the Touche Valley Golf Club. There's a golf and outdoor show in Spokane, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And so, we're lending our support to them, in many different ways. But so they're a great partner. We're also, gonna highlight, Hotel Hardware, Blue Mountain Station, Bluewood, the Marina, Red
It's
Man
like a
Cellars,
golf and travel,
golf and travel.
thinking
destination.
recreation. Yeah.
So, working with Claudia, I saw on that, trying to get some stuff done, and we'll go up and we'll talk up Dayton for 2 whole days, and
Excellent.
we'll have a great time.
And Shane's gonna go, which I
I'm gonna
really
go.
appreciate, and the
Yeah.
golf people really appreciate. And
So
he's an old hand at trade shows, so.
this is true. But as Jill said, we're working on that WSMA grant. Too many acronyms. So it's gonna be an exciting program that we build. So there'll be, what did we determine? 14 workshops altogether, basically. or somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah,
So it's not just gonna be a one and done, there'll be one long day, but then there'll be several classes, like we've done with our quarterly connections, so. You know, we'll do search engine optimization with Connor, we'll do business strategy with Paul from the Small Business Development Center, grant writing, social media, so we'll do a lot of different things to help our businesses and our neighboring communities, so. We're gonna take a pretty wide swipe at Walla Walla, Asotin, Garfield, of course.
probably
Clinton County.
Whitman.
Whitman County.
Mhm.
So we're gonna try to bring them in. And of course, then that leads to, you know, spending tax money here,
Mhm.
so. And then we jumped into some of the ADO stuff today and I worked through a lot of that and so. I
The
just-
reporting, big
yes.
deal.
I'm excited to be a part of the team and look forward to working with you all and keeping the ball moving down the court.
Thank you, welcome aboard,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Little Jill's all grown up. Flying the coop. Going to the big city. We will miss her. She's been fabulous.
She's gonna miss us too.
She will.
She just doesn't realize it yet.
Okay, what do we have going on with housing?
Nothing.
Okay,
Sorry, nothing.
all right. All right, Mike, it's your turn. Data Development Task Force report.
We had a January 22nd meeting. It was pretty normal business. Jenny talked about designating task force. I can't remember what that was all about,
Just kidding.
huh? Main Street, discussion that.
Designations for the task force, as this is needed for the report. Oh, there's a Main Street year-end report that the
Okay,
chamber as the administrative agent for the task force has to turn in, and I just was helping with. Provided some material to Belinda for her report.
Mhm.
Heather talked about the pedestrian sign point at Sacagawea. We're still looking at that. Ken wasn't there, was he?
No.
And there was no report on facade.
Well, except the locally nourished windows,
Oh,
we
yeah,
did report on, I think we report on that.
yeah. I don't know if you've been
Awesome.
in locally nourished, but they have brand new windows on the front and it's made an impact on their temperature inside, so.
And how loud the street is, they
Street is.
can't, it's not loud anymore,
Hmm,
yeah, those were original windows.
Right,
That was a fit, like the task force pays part of it and the business pays the other part,
Mhm.
50-50, I think.
The big chunk of that meeting was going through the report.
Right.
Yeah,
Main
because of the
Main
Main Street
Street
report, yeah, and I
report.
think the designations are, there's different categories that the task force is supposed to work on, organization, promotion, design, and economic vitality.
And that's through the chamber.
Well, the chamber is the administrative
Administrative,
agent of the task force, so they have to put up,
They have to,
submit the
yeah.
report.
Mhm.
And I. My husband.
I know.
Cities reported they're still working on the wastewater treatment plant. And that's a huge need for our city and they're still looking at all their options and how to get it done. 4th Street's gonna be overlaid come spring.
Yay.
They don't plan on doing any water or sewer cuts after that.
Good, ever again.
Ever again.
I actually have a sewer update. The city voted last night to buy the Kruger property.
Oh, they did.
Yep, yes, they did.
Excellent.
And they announced they got a $2 million funding package from the Department of Ecology, $1 million loan, $1 million grant for design of the new facility. So it was huge progress last night. Yeah,
That's encouraging.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't do you remember anything that I didn't remember?
no, most of it's been on that report.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was
There's
it.
a new round
Thank you,
of
Mike.
facade grants open.
Not yet.
Not
Isn't it
yet.
March
March
1st?
March
Yeah.
1st.
Yeah, March 1st.
think that's it. Well, that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Is there any final public comment? Any final public comment on Zoom? Do the commissioners have any final words?
No, other than, thank you, staff, for what you guys do all the time. You guys do all the dirty work in between meetings. And so, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. 5:40, we will call us adjourned.
See you March 12th. Thank you, a reminder.
Right. And that's for the next couple days, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's chill.
I think I.
Yeah.
Well,